Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to this July 2022 energy update. It's just past the solstice, and I'm just going to share with you in this video a couple of downloads around the energy of July 2022, along with a reading with my spirit animal awareness cards to support the energies of this month. All right, so to begin, just tuning into the energies of July for this year of 2022, the impression I got, the guidance that I got was that they really kind of pointed to this being one of the more still points of the year, right? When the sun does its rounds, or the earth does its rounds around the sun, we end up with the solstices at sort of like these gateway points, right? And these are the points at which the rate of change is the slowest. That's when the sun actually appears to stand still for a little bit. Now we've just come out of that, but July still is this slower rate of change that will be starting to increase as the end of the month comes into view. What we're looking at with July, we just passed a pretty powerful Stargate portal of the solstice, and when I did tune into the solstice, at that time they were really adamant about calling it the solstice Stargate. So it just felt to me like there's something happening here. And then of course we're moving into the Lionsgate portal of the 8-8, and July is kind of sandwiched in between there. And so when I asked about the significance of July, they really pointed to this is a time of preparation, okay? And there was a lot about the Lionsgate being a dimensional shift, and I'm going to be tuning into that, and I'll make another video about that. But this in this whole period of time before the Lionsgate and encompassing all of July is coming forward as that's my rooster coming forward as this preparation time. And it was sort of like they were showing me all the different parts of one's life, right? Whether it's a business or a relationship, or so whatever what you've got going on in your life. There are groups of us who may be seeing things shifting or moving into the next iteration or the next phase or the next chapter of your life in these different areas. And so I know personally I'm going through a big shift in my business, not this one, but my day job kind of business, which is a marketing agency, and that's really shifting the way it looks, right? For some people, it might be relationships. It might be a new relationship. It might be kind of renewing your vows, or shifting into a different phase of a relationship with the same person. Things changing. Or it could be a shift in health, right? It could be a mindset shift. It could be a new identity, right? Deciding I don't want to be this person that I've been. I want to up level myself, and to do that I need to change and be something else. Who is it that I really want to be? And making that change and doing what we need to do to become that person, right? So this is this beautiful time of preparation, of shifting in preparation for what's to come, right? And it feels to me like there's going to be a major change in the way the world operates after the Lionsgate, and that this is a beautiful time to actually sit and prepare for that. And one thing that is coming forward is that for some of us, we may be called to do some purification, fasting, or any kind of consistent spiritual practice in this, throughout this time of July and moving up to the Lionsgate could be a very powerful thing to happen. All right, so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and pull some cards just to support the energies of this time. And whatever it is that you're calling in that you would like to, see more of, or to support whatever energy that you're working with. Okay, so again, this is my spirit animal awareness cards. I have the link to that in the description below if you would like your own deck. And it is a 44 card deck. I do have 2 blank cards in there, so if you have an animal that you really like that's not featured in the deck, that you can add it in, or as I usually do, I use those as a wild card. Okay, skunk is the first one to come up. um, and it's funny because I was just talking about skunk with a neighbor who was talking about I'll tell you the story. It was this neighbor had sold their farm. They got a little homestead instead, but they sold their farm, which was a bigger farm, to a young family with a bunch of kids. It's a delightful family, but they had had a skunk in the barn, which the older owner had knew about when he told them about it, but had never really had a problem with. Well, the new family had goats, so they found that the goats were probably disturbing the skunk a little bit. They were starting to smell skunk, and they decided to live trap the skunk and get it out of there. Well, they managed to get the skunk in the trap, and then the mom was like, you know, somebody was going to come take it away, and she said, "No, don't do it yet because I want my kids to see it. They've never seen a skunk." Right? And so kids came home, and there's the skunk, and the mom goes to show it to them, and I mean, you can see it in there, but somehow she decided to open the lid, and it beamed her boom right in the face, which fortunately she was wearing her glasses, because it could have blinded her. But it was sort of like this, almost like, what I'm getting from it is like, if you know you've got a skunk in the trap, just get it out of there, right? It's not time to revisit old things, or to, you know, reopen the lid on just old garbage or stuff that is going to explode, right? Just leave bygones be bygones, or to like the whole idea of let sleeping dogs lie, that kind of thing as well. We all have things in our past, right? And things that trigger us, or may trigger other people, or whatever it is, right, that you've had, that maybe it's energy that's kind of hanging on. I was listening to an interview earlier today about this person who was a business, actually a coach to really big business leaders, right? He said something really interesting about identity as being one of the key things that we can use to up level our lives. And what he said really hit home. It was like, instead of trying to do things to bring what we want into our lives, he said what you need to do is change your identity, right? And I think I mentioned this before, to decide, the kind of person that you want to be, and then work on shifting and changing into that person, rather than beating our heads against the wall trying to make things happen. It's really more, who do I have to be? And so sometimes we have, who we were before was hung up with, the skunkiness, right? We identify sometimes with the pain in our life, or with the, oh, I'm empathic, and it's, and I'm not making fun of anybody here, because I've done it myself, right? It's like, I'm triggered by this and I'm triggered by that, or this is who I am, and that doesn't really suit me, or whatever it is. But as an example, I've started setting my alarm, which I hate alarms, despite having a living one in my backyard, but started getting up an hour earlier. And to me, this is a really big step, because it's like, I really value my sleep, right? And I had this sort of thing in my mind, is that I allow myself to sleep as long as I want. Well, I've got things I'm trying to do, and it seems like there's never enough hours in the day. So I started doing this, and what I'm finding is like, wow, I have to be that person, right? Be that person who wakes up at 6 a.m. And gets things done. And what I'm finding is it's really transformational. It's like I'm still getting enough sleep because I get to bed a little earlier, but it's like I get to get up, and it makes my whole day feel so much more productive. And just an example of stepping up and deciding who you want to be, and then moving into that. Okay, so skunk is really telling us to just kind of watch for those old, things that could blow up in our face, and to just, you can decide to just get it out of there. Don't have to be opening the lid on stuff that's going to be explosive. Okay, I'm gonna pull one more card, and it's Fox. Whoops. Excuse me. Fox is the card here. Let me. What am I getting from Fox? Um, I just looking at it. He's just sort of enjoying being there in the moonlight. Um, and it's almost like this. I'm getting point of decision is the phrase that's coming through from Fox, and I think this is really, rather than the meaning of Fox, it's really Fox is tuning in. I'm tuning in for Fox's message, and he says something about a point of decision. That, look at him, he's just staring off into the future, and he's looking and really focusing on something. And I think it's sort of like decide what it is you want. We are creator beings. That's what the superpower of a human being is that we're able to actually mold and shift and create our own reality and our own future. And a lot of that is by visualizing the future that we want to see. We do this whether we are aware of it or not. And the thing is that many times, if we're not actively visualizing our own future in the future that we want, there are going to be others around us that are going to implant ideas into our minds, okay? And so we see this a lot, in that, like in the media, they start. There's a lot in the media right now, a lot of really divisive things, right? The Roe versus Wade, and all this stuff going on. And I'm not saying that these issues aren't important, but what I am saying is that watch the timing of some of these, whether it's an election year or if something's going on. And a lot of times these things are, come up when they do, not by accident, and it really creates this huge distraction, whether it be a distraction from what's other things that are going on, is a point to consider. But if nothing else, it's a distraction from your own life, from your own, focus on what you want to create, who you want to become, right? And so if you find yourself super distracted or triggered by, um, the media or stuff going on around you, that stuff that we don't really have a lot of control over, we can spend a lot of energy tying ourselves up in that, right? Versus what if we, took a cue from this fox here and started just looking past that and looking into, what is it that we are manifesting, that we're bringing into the world, that we're visualizing. And then from there, who do we need to be? Who do we need to become in order to have that? Like, if you want a wonderful relationship, start looking at people who already have wonderful relationships, the kind of relationship that you want, and start looking at, well, who is it? What is it about that relationship? Maybe you're a woman that wants to attract a wonderful man into her life. Well, look at the wonder, the good relationships that you see around you. What are the positive qualities of those men? What are the positive qualities of those women in those relationships? Not that you have to become somebody else, but to kind of take a good look at, what is it that you really want to bring in, and how do you have to shift, how you're showing up in order to be there. Once you really make those shifts, those things naturally come into your life. You don't have to go pursuing happiness. Just shift your own energy, shift your own behavior, and the wonderful things will come to you. All right. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and stay tuned for the August Lionsgate video that'll be coming up in a couple weeks. And always remember you were born to be free.